refresh
Yes, please.
the topic.
Yes, sure. Good. Then, so pay attention then to the purpose. The purpose is to entertain, not to trust people. I mean, the author did not write this to trust people no matter their nationality. No, the author wrote the story to entertain. And then you may add, as it says here, to show cultural differences, to encourage intercultural friendship. Why not? But the purpose of the text is to entertain, right? Because it's a short story. So this is discourse. And then you have reading. Within discourse and reading, I'm talking about the marking scheme of this test. This, most probably, I forgot to write it down here, but I will tell you, or this will be written in the midterm, right? Between discourse and reading, you should have 25 points, right? Reading and discourse are worth 25 points, both of them together. Reading comprehension. Read the text, cultural exchanges, and explain one of the cultural clashes presented in the short story using your own words. I am going to correct this on my own later on, because I want to focus on each student's answer. I mean, the ones who participate. But the idea is to explain one of the cultural clashes in this case. So if you have done it and you want me to have a look at it, please share it here so that then I can sit down and make my own comments, right? So that you can also see if, let's say, this was okay. And the ones who don't participate, pay attention to the criteria applied, right? So I am not going to go about it now, because this I need to read. And I see only two answers. Please try to participate here so that I can check that, which is very important. In this point, when you have to, in the reading comprehension exercise, there are two important things. One is to focus on the given, and the other one is to control grammar, right? So pay attention to that. So over the week and the weekend, I will be checking what you have written here. Tell me if anything I say is not very clear to you, please. Cohesion. The piano was badly damaged. Many of the notes did not sound, and those that did were so out of tune, I almost wish they hadn't. And you wrote here, it is grammatical cohesion, it is verbal substitution, because it substitutes a verb. What grammar can I correct here? There is a grammar thing that I would like to correct in this sentence. Can you help me? You tell me. Oh, sorry. No?
It replaced.
I put off.
Sorry.
No, for off.
Where?
Is a substitution of.
It's, remember that you say it substitutes for, right? It substitutes for. Because it's verbal substitution, so it substitutes for a verb. It substitutes for a verb, and that's it. It substitutes for a verb, nothing else. Now, which verb?
It could also be it replaces one thing.
It
replaces one thing,
yes,
for another or by another. How it could be?
It replaces the verb, because we know what we are referring to, which is did. So you can say it replaces and the verb directly. The it refers to did.
Okay.
Okay, you can say did replaces and the verb. Okay, directly. In this case, Mayra is writing, did is the substitution for the notes did not sound. This is the only answer, so I'm going to concentrate on this one. Substitutes for, right? Again, is a substitute of. Is a substitute or for. The notes did not sound, but this is verbal substitution. And this is a clause. The notes, subject did not sound, predicate. So pay attention to this sentence and tell me what did substitutes for.
The sound.
Did not sound.
And those that, the piano, the notes, sorry, many of the notes did not sound. And those that
did sound.
That sounded, exactly. That sounded. I mean, you can say that it substitutes for sound. It's okay for the verb sound. If it's not conjugated in the past, it's okay, but the verb is the verb sound. If you say, pay attention to this, people, because this is a common error. If you say that it's verbal substitution, then a verb is omitted, right? A verb is omitted. So you should provide the verb, not another thing that is not a verb, right? This color I don't like. I'm going to use red, sorry. So pay attention to that, right? Sound, sounded. Tell me if you're not following me, right? But though my mother played, sorry if it is, tell me if it is.
Could you repeat exercise 1? Because I couldn't understand what you just said about the verbal substitution. It's okay or it's wrong?
Which one?
Verbal substitution in the point 1. Is it okay?
Or verbal substitution, that is perfect because it's verbal substitution, right? It's verbal substitution. Do, does, did, done.
Yes, but
now
it stands for which
a verb? Sound. Or sounded in the past, right? Sound.
Okay.
But if it is verbal substitution, it substitutes for a verb. Only a verb, right?
Okay.
The notes that did, meaning the notes that sounded.
So we need to put the verb, only the verb. We need to put the verb.
Exactly. Because otherwise I say, okay, so if you are telling me that it substitutes for that or it replaces that, and I put that which you are telling me about there in the sentence, it will be ungrammatical.
Okay.
Okay, you have to tell me exactly what it substitutes for, a verb. Then if you want to write the past or the infinitive, it's okay, right? It's, of course, it would be more appropriate if you say sounded, but it's okay. What I need is the verb, the correct verb here. Number 2. But though my mother played the piano, I had never learned to tune or repair one. It is grammatical cohesion. It is nominal substitution because it substitutes for a noun, and that's it. It substitutes for a noun. In this case, one substitutes for or is a substitute for piano. Do you agree? Yes, let's see. It is grammatical cohesion. It is nominal, not a nominal, right? It's nominal substitution. A word replacing a noun. Pay attention to this sentence here. A word replacing a noun to avoid repetition. Pay attention to this. This sentence doesn't have a lexical verb, for example, doesn't have a subject and predicate. You need to make complete sentences. Avoid writing loose piece of information, right? Chunks of information. Make complete sentences. Nominal substitution refers to a word that is used to replace a noun to avoid repetition. Okay, what are we forgetting here? What are we not mentioning, which is really important? In the sentence, yes, Christian, the lexical verb. And in the complete answer, what is it that we are not saying? Okay, it is nominal. Not in the sentence, but I mean in the complete answer. Say it's grammatical cohesion, nominal substitution, and a word replacing a noun. Okay, but what are we not saying? Which is the answer proper to the question.
The noun which is replacing.
Exactly. That is a common error, people. You give the whole explanation, for example, of reference, but you don't tell me what the word refers to. You don't tell me the antecedent. Don't forget that, right? Tell me what the word substitutes for, what the noun, what the verb, what the clause substitutes for, what the word substitutes for, what the word refers to. Don't forget that part. What is omitted in the case of ellipsis. Don't just describe the one part of the cohesive device. Everything should be, let's say, included there, right? So, it is grammatical cohesion, it is nominal substitution because it substitutes for a noun, good. And the noun is piano, good. Imagine if I ask you, let me see, no, I didn't ask you then. No, 4. Yes. Imagine if I asked you, or if I ask you about though, for example, here, though. Now, on the spur of the moment, I ask you, what type of cohesion is though? You can write in the chat too, right? If you cannot speak.
Lexicogrammatical cohesion.
Good, I like lexicogrammatical cohesion. It's lexicogrammatical cohesion. Why? Or completed.
It's conjunction.
Yes.
Good. Type. Type. It's
causal.
Though would be a synonym of what?
But.
I couldn't hear you.
Causal.
Adversative.
Adversative, yes.
Adversative. Why?
It's contrasting.
Good. Though is a synonym of?
However.
Exactly. Although, however, right? Though here is used in the same way as although. The same. The structure would be the same. And it's adversative. Okay? Remember to study the concepts using the right words, because we may use another word similar to it, but it's not the correct one, right? And in this case, concepts should be labeled, let's say, in the correct way, in a precise way. So this is adversative conjunction because it is contrasting, as you very well said, and it's a synonym of however. I am contrasting the idea that my mother played the piano, and in spite of that, I had never learned to tune or repair one, right? You are expressing some sort of opposition. That's why it's adversative, contrast. Let's see number 3. But I don't know how. It is lexicogrammatical cohesion. It is an adversative conjunction. Probably here, Mailen, probably here you got confused because you say, okay, what is it that we have to analyze? If but were underlined, your answer would be perfect. Okay?
Yes.
But the problem, yes.
But then I didn't know how ponerla en cualquiera de los ítems de omisión, deletion. No sabía dónde.
So, good. Then Aldana said it's grammatical cohesion. It is not a verbal. It is verbal ellipsis. No article here. A substitution, a reference. No article, right? No article.
Janina, when there is
no reference. Sorry. Yes, no. Eliana.
I'm sorry. Sorry to interrupt.
No, please.
When when there's nothing underlined, it refers to an omission, a case of omission. It's a hint, let's say.
You know, it can be a hint. You know that I generally underline. But if I don't underline, it may be ellipsis. Probably if you think of, remember collocation, when I ask you to think of the lexical field, right? But you will notice that. There's nothing underlined here. So I'm not asking you about a specific cohesive device, but, or I, or don't, or no. You have to tell me what relationship can you can find. What happens if you say, okay, imagine that you read this and you say, okay, to me, I'm going to analyze but, and I'm also going to analyze ellipsis. Okay, it's okay. You don't know what, but if but is not underlined, well, you can ask me, Janina, is it okay? Because I may have made a mistake, right? Janina, there is no word underlined. I tell you, don't worry, there shouldn't be an underlined word there. So you know that there will be another cohesive relationship. If you say cohesion, reference, nothing underlined. Substitution, nothing underlined. Lexicogrammatical, nothing. You have to think about it. I don't know how. If you read the text, something is omitted here. But it's not reference, right? It's verbal ellipsis. It's verbal ellipsis. You wrote verbal. Let's see why. In this case, to tune the piano is omitted. To tune the piano. In the case of verbal ellipsis, we have verbal ellipsis when only the verb is omitted, without a to, for example. Because this can also, I can also say that a clause is omitted here. How I can tune the piano, or I could. I don't remember the text. The text. I'm sorry. This is a clause. Do you agree? You have a subject and a verb.
Yes.
When you have a to infinitive like this, you know this is a clause. It's not verbal ellipsis. It would be verbal ellipsis when you can, let's say, substitute for only a verb. For example, I went to the party and Sarah too. I went to the party and John too. John went to, or went to the party, but not with to, okay? That makes it a clause, infinitive clause. So this is clausal ellipsis. Did anyone get it or not here? You tell me.
No.
No?
If it starts with, as you said, to tune the piano, it would be verbal ellipsis. But if it starts with a subject, before the verb, or in this case, the modal verb, it will be a clausal ellipsis, isn't it?
Now you ask me again. Sorry, Juan, because I understood the first part, but not the second. Just a minute.
I'm trying to know if I got it. If it starts with the subject and then the verb.
Sorry, just a minute, Juan. Juan, I have a problem here. Yeah. Just a second, and I listen to you. Sorry, darling.
Okay.
Sorry. Can you say that again, Juan?
Okay. Well, here in this example, the ellipsis would be how to tune the piano. If it starts with the to infinitive, it would be a verbal ellipsis.
No.
But
no, it's clausal.
Clausal ellipsis.
It's clausal on all the same. It's verbal when only the verb, probably the verb and the object, but not when it starts with to. Because when it starts with to, this makes the construction a clause. For example, imagine this sentence: to imagine if I say to speak English is not that difficult, or speaking English. To speak English is not that difficult. I'm writing in the chat here. We have a subject and a predicate, but which is the lexical verb of the sentence?
Is not.
Good.
Not.
Yes. So the subject, you have to ask the verb to realize what the subject is. What is not that difficult? And what's the subject?
To speak English.
To speak English.
To speak English. So to speak English is a clause, right? Functioning as a subject. Is a clause. It's not a verb as a subject. That's a clause. That's why I say that here the omitted constituent, the omitted, let's say, text is a clause. Because it is the same. The same happens when you say one of talking about this speaking English thing. One of the most important things is to feel confident. Again, what's the lexical verb?
Is.
Is. So what's the subject? You have to ask the verb. What is to feel confident? The subject.
Yeah.
One of the most important things. You have to, you always ask the verb, the lexical verb, and the lexical verb will automatically tell you of what the subject is. And the verb to be is a copulative verb, remember?
Yeah.
So what do you need after the copulative verb? A subjective complement, right? So here we have as a subjective complement a clause, not a verb. This is a clause. That's why I am telling you here, if I am answering your question, Juan, tell me if I am wrong. That this is not verbal, it's clausal. Because this is a clause. The one that begins with the to infinitive is a clause, right?
Yes.
Is it clear?
Yes, now I got it. Yes.
Good,
Perfect.
good, darling. Thank you. Now, I also provided another text, let's say, that you can use to account for that which is missing. I don't know how I can, tune the piano. I don't know how I can tune the piano. I think the text said something like this, okay? I don't remember if it referred exactly to this. So here you see that you can say this as well. And, well, you can prove in a way that it is a clause which is missing and not just a verb. A clause, no matter if the verb is followed by an object. But the important thing is this to infinitive. That makes it a clause. It's not just a verb. Okay? You cannot say in the examples I gave you, for example, you cannot say that the subject is a verb. Or you cannot say that the subjective complement is a verb. Those are clauses. Why, people? Let me go a bit further into it. Why? There are different kinds of analysis as regards syntax as to whether something is a clause or a phrase. Because you say, okay, Janina, but if you say to tune the piano, there is a verb. Is there a subject? To tune the piano. To tune, do you see the subject? To tune the piano. Do you see it?
Oh.
No.
No.
Don't.
No, but you always know, or you know that there is always a doer of the action, right? Who is going to tune? I don't know how to tune the piano. I don't know how I can tune the piano. The subject of tuning the piano is I. The construction have a subject, but the subject is there, implicit. So that's why grammarians insist that this is a clause, even though the subject is not written down. Some other grammarians disagree, okay, anyway, and say it's a phrase, but that's another story, and I don't want to confuse you. But as there is a to, that to is telling me that there is a clause there, right? Let's go. So, clausal ellipsis. In this case, to tune the piano is omitted. Very good. And here, this answer is not incorrect, but it does not really answer this cohesive device, right? Since I have only a semi-perfect pitch, I set middle C according to Michael Jackson tape played through my Walkman. I finished just before dinner. I was terribly excited. I went to, okay. One answer, no, we have more here. It is lexicogrammatical cohesion. It is temporal conjunction. The author expresses time. He says that he set middle C since he has only a semi-perfect. Mayra, you explained this very well. But this is not consistent or coherent with temporal. Let's see. It is lexicogrammatical cohesion. It is causal conjunction. Since can be replaced by because. Not because of, because. Because of is followed by a noun. Here we have a clause. Because I have only a semi-perfect pitch. It is lexicogrammatical cohesion, causal conjunction. It can be replaced by as I have only a semi-perfect pitch. Exactly. It is causal, people, not temporal, right? It's not temporal because it is not a synonym of when. It is not a synonym of while. It is a synonym of, it can be replaced. It is, the relationship is that of cause. Because I have only. That is the reason why I set middle C according to a Michael Jackson tape. Because of this. This is the reason. That's why it's causal. And when you paraphrase, try to use a synonym, not the same word, right? Please tell me if you have any questions. Many Chinese people appreciate talking straight. Perhaps almost never allows it. So they applauded this and taught me all by my means to speak up. By all means, sorry. It is grammatical cohesion, anaphoric demonstrative reference. In this sentence, this refers to talking straight. And Eliana agrees. You probably, Mayra, you are not telling me the category of the word, which is demonstrative pronoun, right? Don't forget this. Demonstrative pronoun. Don't forget that we also analyze the word class, right? Now, pay attention to this. What's the problem there? Replaces, okay? Remember, replaces. This replaces. Talking straight. Good. Anaphoric demonstrative. You should, let's say, complete it here. Say anaphoric demonstrative reference.
Sorry, I didn't put demonstrative because I wrote it when I said pronoun.
Yes, but the thing is, you know, when you say anaphoric personal, anaphoric demonstrative, anaphoric comparative, say it anyway, right?
Okay.
Good, good. And you always remember to write the category, people, to the word class. Language in use. Explain the use of the verb tense in, but saw that she had stuffed her ear, she had tied. Okay. In both underlined, these are not sentences, right? I would say what instead of sentences, people? What are they?
Clauses.
Clauses.
Okay, clauses, very good, clauses. The past perfect is used. I would say past perfect, no the, right? The past perfect is used. It used to, what's the problem here? Help me. It used to. Are you expressing past habit here?
No, the verb to be is missing. It is used.
Exactly. It is used to describe an action finished. Something missing here? Pay attention to grammar, right? When you explain this. It is used to describe an action that finished before another past action or that took place. Good. Now we need to say which ones, right? Both are instances of past perfect tense. This tense is used to describe an action that happened before another action in the past. In the sentence, she had stuffed her ears and she had tied the vowel before he saw her. Exactly. Yes, yes, that is good. So remember to say which actions. You have to go back to the text and say, okay, this is past perfect. So it means that this action or these actions happened before another action in the past. Perfect. So in this context, in this text, which action happened first? First, this happened, and then another thing happened. Or she tied a thick vowel, or she stuffed her ears before another thing. Explain it in context, remember, right? Good. 2. Account for the structure, linguistic device, underlined in, such was his balance and skill in the boats that I only saw his deformity when he came ashore. Then provide the unmarked version. Marked theme, you wrote. Good. Such was his balance and skill in the boats that... This is a case of inversion after no, this is not a negative adverb, right? After the adverb such. This is the explanation. What you forgot to add, that then somebody added, is the unmarked version. Okay, if this is not the expected word order, which would be the expected word order of subject and verb, subject predicate, right? His balance and skill in the boat was such that I only saw his deformity when he came ashore. Exactly. Exactly. So,
Sorry, I couldn't understand the answers. I didn't do it by myself because I am a bit confused with marked and unmarked theme. But could you tell me which one is the marked version and the unmarked, because I'm a bit lost?
remember that theme and rime, as we saw in module 2, has to do with, and this is the part of module 2 or unit 2 that I don't remember if in the syllabus it is in unit 1 or 2, I'm sorry, that will be included, right? So remember that when we think of organizing the information of a message, or when we give a message, we may be asking a question, we may be saying something in the form of a statement, we may be, let's say, giving an order. There are different messages that I'm going to give according to the function. That is to say, the use, according to what message I want to transmit. If it is a question, you know that you will begin a question by what?
By a W word.
A WH word, or an operator, or an auxiliary verb, right? So questions have a fixed order. If you are going to give an order, that you know that you are going, or you may begin with a what?
An imperative, maybe.
An imperative. And imperatives are formed how?
The imperative without the person.
Yes, so what is the imperative? What is the first thing that you write?
A verb. Verb.
In which form? In their infinitive, exactly. So, and if you provide a statement, if you say something, you begin with a subject and a verb. Now, these are this is the expected word order of a sentence, let's say. Expected. And that is unmarked theme. Unmarked theme, when you don't mark anything in particular at the beginning, when you don't front an element that is not the expected one. Remember that that is unmarked theme. Now, if for the sake of emphasis, for the sake of focus, you decide to front something, meaning to put in initial position something which is not expected to be in initial position, then that you will be marking something, you will be marking the theme. So that would be marked theme. When you front something for a special purpose. Remember that this you can read in chapter 7 from Alexander, especially page 142. You see inversion or grammar, advanced grammar in use.
Yes.
I don't remember the chapter, but you just for you to reinforce this. So here, such is at the beginning. And you don't expect such to be at the beginning of a sentence, of a statement. Because a statement will begin with a subject. His balance and skill in the boat was such. So That is the subject, his balance and skill in the boat. So that is not at the beginning. Here we have such, which is one instance of inversion. And so we are explaining here that such has been fronted for the sake of emphasis, right? Most probably. You are not explaining this, but this should be explained, right? That such is fronted for the sake of emphasis or focus, or to provide emphasis or to give focus to that piece of information, to that part of the message in particular. When you say, and that was the example that appeared in the video that I showed you, the short video that I shared with you, I don't know. Imagine you go to somebody's house and you are given something to eat, and you say, "Oh, you know, I have never tried such a delicious meal. I have never tried." Is this marked or unmarked? I have never tried.
Unmarked.
Exactly. You start with the subject, right? But what happens if I decide to provide a marked version? Well, I may front never. Never have I tried such a delicious. This is one, right? When we start with a negative adverb, we need to apply inversion. But you can say, I don't know. I don't know. Not in this example, but you can front the object. Well, you can say a delicious meal like this one, I have never tried. For example, you may front an element that is not the expected one in a sentence, right? This is marked theme. Then, depending on what you front, you may need to change anything about the structure or not. That's why it is important that you read about these adverbs that require this change in the structure, not just changing the order. Okay?
Yes, thank you. And the unmarked version would be the one in pink, the my lens.
Exactly. Exactly. You start,
So
you have a statement. Yes.
The answer is right there. We have to do that. We have to put such, connector, was, verb. Or we have to, when it says account for the structure, we have to say to show emphasis on.
Yes, account for the structure. What do you understand by this when you say account for the structure? You use a structure and you have to account for it, meaning why have you used it? Right. Exactly. Why have you used it? It doesn't say explain or describe the structure, meaning how it is formed. Account for it, meaning why do you use a question and not a negative? Because I want to ask. Why are you, let's say, using a modal verb may? Because I want to express possibility, for example, right? So you account, why is it that I'm using marked theme? Meaning I am fronting an element that is not expected one. Because the writer wants to emphasize. You have to account for that structure that you are using, right? As a matter of fact, such is not a connector, right? Such is an adverb or a determiner, but I'm going to erase it so that it doesn't confuse you, because you're not supposed to tell me this, right? Don't worry. You are not supposed to tell me, because if not, you are going to start thinking about how to form the structure. And I'm not asking you this, right? Okay. Now, explain an account for the use of the underlined structuring. If you give a piece of art, like a painting or poem, you must give him a piece of art in return, or the feeling will be spoiled. Pay attention to voice. I'm giving you a hint here, and comment on the agent. In the underlined structure, the future simple in passive voice is used, in this case, to focus on what will happen, not on who will cause it. Okay, now, why not? This is very good, Evelyn. Why is it that we don't focus on or we don't mention, or we don't focus on the agent?
The agent is omitted because it's obvious.
Exactly, because in this case, the feeling will be spoiled by the person who gives. Exactly. The agent is obvious. You can say it is taken for granted, right? In the context, or it is understood in the context. It can be recovered from the context, right? Yes, all this is correct. So remember that passive voice is about not mentioning the agent. Okay, why? Or not fronting the agent. Why? You wanted to say something?
Yeah, I wanted to say that I didn't understand this about the agent. It's obvious. It is taken for granted. What I didn't get it. What it refers to.
Do you know what the agent is, Juan?
I think I don't.
Probably because of that. Because can you provide an example of passive?
Me?
Yes. Without mentioning, without a by, right?
The exam will be done. I don't know.
Okay, the exam
Will
be
be
taken.
done.
Will be done by whom? What are you thinking of? Because I don't know what you understand by done.
Realized, done.
Performed.
Completed, I don't know how to say it. Performed,
Okay,
yes. That.
very good, very good. The exam will be carried out, let's say, or will be performed, or will be taken. Remember that in English,
Yes.
we are going to see this when we see education. When you say that you take an exam, no es tomar un examen, sino hacerlo, ¿sí? It's not, it's the opposite.
Yes.
Okay, so the exam will be taken, will be done, performed next Wednesday. Good.
Yeah.
You mentioned the doer of the action.
No.
So the doer is the agent. We call agent to the doer of the action, right?
Yes.
The one that does the action is the agent. Now, in your example, why do you think that you have not mentioned it? Let's become aware of the structure and the use. Why do you think that in your message you have decided not to mention the agent?
It could be because Well, in the complete version that you say will be taken next Wednesday, it could be because the important message is the date of the exam that is next Wednesday, or because there is no just one person who will take the exam. It's a lot of people.
Okay,
And
who are they?
The students.
Exactly. And why don't you mention that? But why don't you mention that it will be done by the students? Why do you think you don't mention the students there in your message? Will be done by the students next Wednesday.
I'm not sure.
Why do you think so? Say what you think, because you have not mentioned that. I mean, when I asked you to provide an example of passive, I said don't mention the agent. In real, let's say in everyday conversation, if you have to provide that message, you wouldn't say the exam will be performed, done by the students, solved by the students. No, you would say it will be solved, will be done next Wednesday. Why not? What do you think?
Because it is obvious who will attend the exam.
Exactly, very good. I mean, who else? Okay, in this context, if you mention the agent, even with by, the prepositional phrase, you would be doing it because you consider that this agent is different from the expected one, let's say. You don't say it because it's obvious. It's the same as if I say, for the exam, people, all of you, please, the day of the exam, a camera or the camera will be required. Your identity card will be required. Okay, who will require it? Me. Okay, but I want to focus on the camera. No, I don't say I will require or I will ask you to use, because the focus is not on me asking you, but the camera. A camera will be required. The agent is obvious here in this message. Do you see what I mean, Juan?
Yes, yes.
So passive voice, and we need to become aware of this, because then we go to a class as a teacher, and we teach the passive voice, and we just focus on the structure. The object becomes the subject, then you need the verb to be. Okay, and the student knows the structure. Now, does the student understand the real use of the passive? I don't know. You know what? I always tell an anecdote that I had when I was observing classes, when I was watching classes as a student. And I had to go to a school where I had to watch a teacher, and that class, she had to teach passive voice. And I was there sitting at the back between two, in the aisle, between two students. And the teacher came into the classroom and, hello everyone, how are you? Look at this sentence, she said. The rat was eaten by the cat. Okay, the rat was eaten by the cat. This is the same as if you say the cat ate the rat. So you see, the cat ate the rat. The rat is the object. The object becomes the subject. And then the boys who were next to me looked at each other, and they did this, people. Exactly like this. They said, she's crazy. Exactly. They didn't understand the purpose of the teaching, these linguistic exponents. Apart from, it was exactly like this, they didn't understand anything. You cannot teach just the structure of something, because the students will not understand the purpose of that structure. They won't understand why it is that they need that structure. So this is for you to bear this in mind. Whenever you teach something, focus on why it is used. That's why I ask you to explain the structures, because this is what you will do all your professional life. When you use passive, you use it because the focus is not on the doer of the action, on the agent. Why not? Because the agent may be obvious, as in this case, or understood from the context, from the situation. Sometimes because the agent is not known, so you don't mention the agent because it's not known, right? So as if you say, imagine that you arrive, I don't know, you are at a shopping center and you leave your bag on the table, or on a table or on the floor, and suddenly you say, oh, my bag has been stolen. You don't know who stole it, so you use passive voice. And then there are other cases. The agent is not known, the agent is obvious, the agent is a general doer, a generalized agent, as if you say, for example, it is believed that, I don't know, this virus will affect more people in the future. I don't know. Just an example that comes to my mind, right? But when you say it is believed, you are talking about people in general. You are not saying who believes this, right? Do you follow me? So why is it that the agent, the doer of the action, is not mentioned? Imagine if another use, people, but please now read about it in Alexander and the reasons why it is not used. But imagine if I tell you this. I don't know, did we talk about the passive voice last class? For example, this example. People, it is rumored, it is said that winter holidays will begin next week. Or it is said that the institute will open next week. You say, why is it that Janina is not saying who? Janina, say who said that. It is said, people, I say, it is said. Why do you think that I use passive there?
Because it is not important who said that. The important thing is what they said that.
Very good. That's one case.
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
That's one case. It is not important. What I want to communicate is at the institute. And then you say, well, come on, but you, please tell us who said that to you. And I say, people, it is said that, and I don't say it. Why not?
Could it be because, I don't know how to say it in English, la fuente no es confiable, so you can't say who said because maybe it's not true.
Very good, exactly. We are all, let's say, speculating about my message, right? My message may have different implications. I may not consider it important to say who said it, or who said that to me. Probably one person said it to me. It's not a generalized agent. And I say it is said, but I don't know whether that is true or not. So the source of information is not reliable, as Juan is saying. And maybe, people, it's because I don't want to commit myself to what I am saying. I don't want to commit myself. I don't want to take responsibility. So instead of saying the institute will be open, say it is said, and I use a passive construction. Or I want to sound detached from the message. It's not me, you know, who says it. Because I don't want to take responsibility. I don't want to commit. So these are the reasons why passive is used. It's not because I am changing the structure out of a whimsical attitude. No, this must have a purpose, right? Otherwise, our students will not understand the reason why we decide to change the order of words, as in inversion, as in marked theme, and so on and so forth. Is it clear, Juan?
Yes, it is.
Great, great.
Thank
So
you so much.
pay attention to these, please. You're welcome. People, I forgot to tell you that cohesion is 25 points too. It's like it's 25% of the text. Language in use is 25 too. And syntax is 25, okay, too. So discourse and reading, 25 both, let's say, all together, and then 25 each. Syntax, in this exam, I mean, right? Category and function. Classify the verbs underlined and account. This classification is according to transitivity and predication. I asked her not to stay in the apartment while I worked because it would only make, I don't know why it says makes here, it would only make me more nervous. And you wrote, asked transitive of complete predication. This one intransitive of complete, and this one transitive of incomplete. The answers are very good, people. I have no objections to this. Now, Evelyn explains this, right? Asked is a transitive verb. Sorry, I want to... No. Asked is a transitive verb, so it is followed by an object, her. Very good. There are two objects here, right? Her and not, but it's okay. It's okay. I'm not going to pay attention to that. There are two objects. You ask her something. There is a complete predication. Why? The verb is of complete predication because after the objects, there isn't a complement, right? Objective or subjective complement. If there is an object here, there should be an objective complement for it to be of incomplete predication. Now it's of complete predication. You have the objects and then a clause of time, but that's another thing. Worked is an intransitive verb. It means that it does not follow an object. It does not follow an object. Pay attention to structure here. Can you rewrite this? How can I rewrite this? Worked is an intransitive verb. It means that
It is
It's
not
not
followed.
followed.
Followed by an object.
exactly. It is not followed. Oh, sorry. Followed by an object, or you can say an object does not follow it. But not it does not follow, because this it has no referent here. There is complete predication. Why? Again, why is there complete predication? Because there's no complement after work. While I worked, stop. What you see here is reason, but there's no complement. It's not a copulative verb. It's not intransitive of incomplete. And make is, sorry, I'm going to erase, that was a mistake, but I don't know why. It's a transitive verb, so it is followed by an object, me. Good. There is an incomplete predication. Very good. Instead of there is, I'm going to correct this. The same in the others. The verb is of incomplete predication. So it has a complement. In this case, an objective complement, which is more nervous. Because more nervous is saying something about who?
It shows a characteristic of me.
Very good. It shows a characteristic of me, and me is the object. Sorry?
It provides more information about the object, me.
Good. Remember, Juan and everybody, that this, when you say more information, it is generally a characteristic, right? Characteristic. Marisa is saying, I have the video you gave us last year about passive voice. Great, Marisa. If you want to share it, be my guest, okay? And Agustin, it is not, oh, sorry, I didn't read that. Good. So, sorry, people. So, remember, verbs need a complement. The predication is incomplete because I need a complement. If there is no complement, the predication is complete. Thank you, Marisa. Is this sentence simple, compound, or complex? Account. I haven't had, this one was tricky, sorry. I didn't realize it was not on purpose. I haven't had much time to practice it since then, but nowadays I try to play whenever I have free time. Somebody wrote compound, somebody wrote complex, somebody wrote complex. What do you think, people? Because there is a category that is not mentioned here, but is possible. Yes, Mailen, I think I heard you. It is compound complex. This is a categorization. I'm not going to give it to you people the day of the text, don't worry. But I want you to know about it now that you have an example. When you have both characteristics, it's compound complex. It's compound, and I'm going to read the definition, because it contains two independent clauses. One of these independent clauses has a conjunction with... Mayra, no, it's not that the clause has a conjunction. I would say that the clauses are by a conjunction. So what is missing?
Are linked.
Very good. By coordinating conjunction. These clauses are linked, are joined, because the conjunction is outside the clauses, right? The coordinating conjunction. It is a complex sentence because it contains two independent and one dependent clause, exactly. And whenever is a subordinating conjunction. Good. So, it is a compound complex. It was not on purpose, people, but I didn't realize. Same here, right? It's a compound complex. It is a complex, well, again, because it contains two independent clauses and one dependent clause, but it's a coordinating conjunction of contract that connects the two independent clauses, and whenever it's subordinating conjunction followed by a dependent clause, precisely. And somebody wrote, it is, Maria, it is a compound complex sentence because it contains two independent clauses and one dependent clause. The dependent clause uses a subordinating conjunction whenever the conjunction but joins, I'm going to write the S here, the independent clauses, not sentences, right? Clauses. Good. Let's identify the clauses now. Write down the clauses below. Wait a minute. I haven't, yes, okay. I haven't had much time to practice it since then. But is outside, right? But is not inside the clauses. Nowadays I try to play, and this is another clause. So you have one clause here, another one here, sorry, and inside this one there is, how can I identify it? There is another one, which is the dependent. Let's see.
Sorry.
I haven't had much time to, yes?
Sorry to interrupt.
Please,
The dependent one would be whenever I have free time?
Yes. Because it cannot stand on its own. Do you understand, darling? When you say, whenever I have free time, if you cannot make of this clause a sentence, but
Yes.
you can of this one. Okay, good. Because if you just say, whenever I have free time, that would be incomplete. So
And
that is dependent.
nowadays, I try to play is independent.
Exact, all of it. Nowadays, I try to play whenever I have free time. All of it is independent. Inside that, you have a dependent.
Okay, thank you.
Okay? Nowadays, I try to play whenever. Good. Okay, good. What's the lexical verb of this sentence, people? What's the lexical verb? Pay attention. If you have two independent clauses, how many lexical verbs are you going to have?
Two.
Exactly. So you will have two subjects, right? So what's the subject of the sentence? The subject of the sentence is I. In both cases, right? I and I. Do you follow?
Yes. Yes.
Great. Tell me, please. I'm sorry. Okay. In both cases, it's I. Sorry. What's the predicate? I haven't had much time to practice it since then, but is outside. When you analyze, but is outside. It's not inside one of the clauses, okay? Nowadays, I try to play. Yes. Careful. This, how can I show you? This is the predicate of the clause, which is dependent, but not the predicate of a sentence. Okay? Look, the clauses which are independent are two. One is this one, and the other one is this one. These are the two clauses. Now, these are divided into subject and predicates because they are independent. I haven't had much time to practice it since then. Nowadays, I, subject, try to play. I is a subject, and all the rest in the clause is the predicate. But inside this, you have a dependent or subordinating clause. But it has another predicate inside, okay? But the subject and predicate of the sentence is I, subject, and all the rest is the predicate. I'm going to mark it.
But sorry, Janine.
Ah, lo había marcado, me parece. Capaz que Agustina, perdón, no me acuerdo qué marcó ahora, si marcó todo o solo have free time. I'm sorry, people, if I... Okay, yes, sorry, Eliana.
There are two predicates. Sorry, two predicates.
There are two? Because this is a compound complex.
What I mean is, in each independent clause, there is a predicate.
Yes.
Subject plus predicate. So, haven't had much time is a predicate, and the other predicate...
Practice, all of it, darling. Haven't had much time to practice it since then.
And the other one, which one is it?
Everything that is not I. Nowadays, try to play whenever I have free time.
Nowadays is inside the predicate.
Yes, because it's expressing time, right? Okay. It is fronted. The only thing, Eliana, this is another case, darling. Time is fronted. Because I focus or emphasize nowadays, I try to play whenever I have free time. I want to focus on the present, right?
Okay, thank you.
It's okay. What is but? What does it do? But is an adversative conjunction. Good. It expresses opposition or contracts between two statements. I would say, people, if I correct this, don't think that I am splitting hairs. No, I am correcting it, but I'm not considering it a mistake at this point. I'm not going to take it as a mistake, okay? But they are not statements. You need to know the difference between a sentence, a statement, a clause, a phrase, right? But can join two clauses, two phrases, two words, right? Two verbs. So not two statements, okay? But is a coordinating conjunction of contracts in choice connected to independent clauses in this case. Yes. Nothing else. Exactly. Good. Good, people. Okay. Now, my plan is this. I would like to take only a 5-minute break, and then everybody who has a special question comes back, right? For a question. I want to answer specific questions now.
The question can be related to the model true, to the activity, for example, the model true.
Yes, why not? If it is, Mailen, sweetheart, if you consider that it is useful for the midterm, it would be great. If it is something completely new, I don't remember now if there is something apart from vocabulary or the topic, if there is something completely new, right? But if it is a topic that is in the test, yes, sure.
So we go back in 5 minutes.
5, no more than that. 5.
Okay.
Can you please? Sorry.
Okay.
Okay, 5 minutes, and you come back, the ones who are interested in asking a question. I will just answer. When we get the mock exam, will it contain its own? No entiendo, perdón. This is a mock exam. It's okay, Lara, don't worry. The exam. Remember, I told you at the beginning, I don't know if you were here, Lara, that I'm going to send you the text in advance, 1 or 2 days in advance. Okay? And then I'm going to, in the exam, you will have the fragments of the text that I will ask you to analyze. But you will know what it is about. Okay. 5 minutes, people, please. See you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.